No swear words.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I didn't have to write any times down. Won't have to add the explicit label. Should be good to go there.
We'll have
Kids
to
can listen.
we'll have to
Family
have a
friendly.
sign. We'll have to have a sign that says it's been 0 podcasts since we had a swear word for
Yeah.
Nathan and Justin. I'm along for the ride with you on this. This is a nice little escape for me where I'm not playing video games and I'm just talking with you and shooting the shit and doing whatever the hell else we're gonna do here.
Oh, you just did it. You just did it. 0 episodes since the curse word.
We hand it off to Herschel. There's a hole. 5, 10, 12. He's running over people. Oh, you Herschel Walker. My God almighty, he ran right through 2 men. Herschel ran right over 2 men. They had him dead away inside the 9. Herschel Walker went 16 yards. He drove right over Orange Church, just driving and running with those big guys. My God, a freshman.
Welcome into the first episode of My God, a Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Wood, and I've got my co-host, John Powell, with me as well. Quick housekeeping, you can follow us on Twitter at My God, a Podcast. If you want to get in touch with us, you can also shoot us an email at mygodapodcast@gmail.com. You can follow me on Twitter at JimWoodPMP, and you can follow John at PowellJohnT. John, you ready to get this thing rolling?
What's up, man? Let's do it. We've been doing this what unofficially for quite some time.
Right, exactly. And everyone is clamoring for just more Georgia-themed podcast content, and so figured, change our text and Twitter conversations into a podcast, and boom, there you go.
Absolutely, and I've got a bourbon and talking to a good friend, so let's rock and roll.
I've got Creature Comforts. They are not a sponsor, but I am drinking Creature Comforts. I've got automatic.
I've got what is it? American Spirit Whiskey, the Fiddler bourbon from Atlanta.
Oh, nice. I have not had that.
It's good.
All right, well let's dive right in. I think we wanted to do a little bit of like season type stuff at some high level, but mainly I think talk about Arkansas. But really, I mean, just with us actually having games, right, and coming back in. I mean, I think the biggest thing, obviously, when you think about Georgia football coming back, really is the quarterback situation. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been the storyline ever since we picked up Jamie Newman, and it became the definite storyline ever since we lost Jamie Newman.
Right. Jamie Newman will go down as an undefeated quarterback at Georgia. Not unlike Glenn Mason was an undefeated coach at Georgia. So I mean,
I did see the hotly debated whether or not he was considered a damn good dog or not.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that as well. I mean, did he ever take even a class? Like I don't like school had started, I guess, right? So maybe he was in a class virtually. But I don't know. Tough to say. Yeah, I don't know.
That's actually a good question.
Right. So I saw a Barrett Sallee hot take today that I wanted to run by you that I thought was interesting because I feel like, the initial reaction was, okay, so, was it COVID concerns? A lot of people thought that he was, kind of saw the writing on the wall with JT Daniels, right? That was why he was leaving. And I mean, who knows? We'll never know. But Barrett Salee's hot take was actually that he thinks Jamie Newman saw the writing on the wall with Dwan Mathis, that he could tell that Dwan was on his heels in practice, and he thinks that's why he left. I thought that he was the first person that I've heard say that.
I have not seen that. Did he send that today?
Yeah, he said that on. I saw it on Twitter. It was like a small video clip from his CBS Sports stuff that he does.
I know that was a theme that I kind of heard people on Twitter kind of talking about for a hot minute there, but that kind of died off a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what to think of why he left. I figure he probably felt like that there was not much of an upside for him kind of
Yeah.
sticking around. Um,
Yeah, I
but
think so,
but
and
you
I
know,
think his quarterback coach too, like his private coach, Quincy Avery. He was on Andy Staples' show over the summer. Same guy, I believe, was Justin Fields' private coach as well, right?
yep,
I think he's the guy that has worked with all of them, and and he was just talking about with the situation with the pandemic was basically, I mean, short version, I'm paraphrasing, was that that's kind of what he would advise, right? It's like not to put yourself at risk. So I would imagine that probably played a factor as well.
yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of folks in his ears. People talk about some of these guys that are guaranteed, quote unquote, um, guaranteed draft picks, high draft picks. Or maybe they should be sitting out. You kind of look at Justin Fields. Maybe he should be sitting out. I don't know, but
Yeah.
he's pretty much a guaranteed lock for a top 10, top 5 pick. Based on his performance thus far. But I don't know. At the same time, he had a lot to prove. I mean, he came from a lesser school, if I will, if you will, on that.
I think I'll allow it.
Um,
I think that's fair.
he came from a lower tier school where he had to rely on his athleticism to succeed and excel. And I think a lot of folks were looking forward to seeing what he looked like behind a stout offensive line with quality players surrounding him at skill positions. Let's see what this kid can do. And I do think that there's an element of, you know, he misses some of that. And so,
Yeah.
in my opinion, if you're asking me, like if I'm a GM, is he a flyer now or is he a lock pick? In my opinion, he's more of a flyer right now.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that's, I heard similar things from Seth Emerson and Aaron Murray actually said that. I was listening to Punt and Pass earlier today, and that's essentially what Aaron Murray was saying that, to him, in Aaron's eyes, he said he's never seen Newman as a first round pick. So, all right. Well, you know what? Let's say enough about who's not here. Let's talk about who is.
But here, actually, before we move on
Yeah,
about who's, JT Daniels is not cleared
exactly.
for contact. He is not cleared. So I believe that we have the de facto starting quarterback, Dwan Mathis. Long may he reign.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, and that is interesting as well, right? Like, and I think that's kind of been Seth Emerson's take has been that you can't give the starting reps to JT Daniels in practice without knowing that he'll be cleared, because then you're wasting reps for someone who can actually play in a game. And so, who knows? I guess we're recording this Thursday night before the game. We've got a couple days to see. Maybe he gets cleared, maybe he doesn't. But I mean, all eyes are definitely on Dwan Mathis right now. And I've got to say, like, sentimentally, that's who I wanted anyway. The story is just amazing. It's the kind of thing that if it was
Yeah,
in a script for a movie, no one would believe it, right?
I agree.
I mean, first off, just coming here, committed to Ohio State. Only reason he's here is because Ohio State took Justin Fields, and then he wasn't feeling the love from Ohio State anymore. Georgia comes calling, hey, we got a spot. That's the only reason he's even here in the first place. Fast
Hmm.
forward, he enrolls early, goes through a spring, catches a touchdown pass in the spring game, right on like a trick play, and then
I forgot about
we,
that.
yeah, then then has headaches. The staff takes him to the hospital. He has the brain cyst, surgery. Don't even know if he's even going to play football again. And now we're
Hmm.
looking at him possibly starting the opener. I mean, and with really a lot of excitement behind it, right? I mean, obviously for the story. Again, sentimentally, I just think it's awesome. I love the story. But I mean,
Yeah.
this guy's 6'6". He's long. He's lean. He's athletic. I don't know if you've seen the video of him throwing the pass in practice to Pickens, like nice dime and an amazing catch by Pickens. And you just
Yep.
start thinking like, I mean, I think it's hard to say that we didn't use Justin Fields' abilities the best. You can debate all you want around like should he have been playing versus from whatever. Outside of that, when he was on the field, I would say we didn't use him right. And to think with Monken coming in, you have to think he was excited about Newman's dual threat ability. and we can still see that with Dwan Mathis. I'm excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you talk about the videos that have been posted with him, moving the pocket around, moving outside, using his legs, and just rifling the passes in. I think I tweeted out on something about that. He looked a lot like DJ Shockley, and I can tell you what, if he has any bit the productivity that Shock had, I would absolutely be over the moon. Not only as a fan, but for the kid. Like you said, I'm definitely in that camp of wanting him to be as successful as possible, just on the story. Selfishly as a marketer, that's the kind of stuff. Working in marketing, that's the kind of thing that you can latch on to, that can really tell a story about the program and about a person. And I'm here for the ESPN tearjerkers for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I can see it right now. My wife looking at me saying, "Why did you make me watch this?" Because whenever I make her watch, those Sports Center stories, she always ends up crying.
Yeah.
So it's funny to me that you mentioned DJ Shockley, because I always laugh at the DJ Shockley comparisons that we've had over the years. Like, we keep waiting for that next DJ Shockley. And what it's been to date is more the sense of, there's a guy that's waited his turn. He could have transferred. He stuck around. He's getting his shot. And now, is he going to have a DJ Shockley type season? So that's been thrown around with Joe Cox. It was thrown around with Hudson Mason, right? And there was always a lot of stuff in the newspaper. Definitely guys that didn't match up with DJ skill set wise, right? But some of the story around longevity with the program, and not getting that chance to be the full time starter until a senior. But I mean, Mathis has the skill set of DJ Shockley, and he doesn't have a
Yeah.
David Green, in front of him like DJ did, right? I mean, if that was just awful timing, like everyone would have rather had Green. Well, true. But there's never been anyone in front of him when he was eligible, or when he was cleared to play, I guess I would say, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, to have a dynamic dual threat quarterback like that. I mean, this is the first time we've had a starting quarterback, potentially. I guess we still don't know, but we're assuming, right, since DJ. So I think Dwan Mathis to DJ Shockley, obviously a much better comparison than, say, Joe Cox.
Let's hope from your lips to God.
Although I will say this, I would not mind if Dwan Mathis throws 5 touchdowns at Arkansas like Joe Cox did back in 2009. I'm all for that.
I'm okay for Mathis to do anywhere near that kind of productivity on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. I guess, okay, so other like macro storylines. So, quarterback, obviously the big thing. Just wanted to talk a little bit about the defense. Number 2 defense in the nation. A lot of starters back, but a lot of questions last year on, was it the defense or was it the opponent? Faced a lot of backup quarterbacks. I don't know. What's your take on that from last year?
I mean, look, I'm gonna rattle off some stats. I know we talked and you weren't big on the stats, but these stats are really hard to ignore on the defensive side. And whenever I encounter, as a matter of fact, I live in Marietta, so we were on the square this past weekend, and some Auburn fans walked up to me. I had my Georgia hat on. They were walking up saying, "Hey, what's going on with the quarterback situation over there?" And my de facto answer to that at the time was, I'm not really too worried about the offense. I think that we'll have some ups, we'll have some downs, obviously, with the new offensive coordinator, new quarterback, but we have some skill position players that have been established. We have quality wide receivers. As we learned last year, not having the depth at wide receiver is a big issue. But in my opinion, like the heart and soul of this team is going to be the defense again, and it's hard not to look at that and just say, you got 76% of the tackles returning. You got 77% of the tackles for loss returning, 90% of the sacks, 87% of the takeaways returning. These are the Athletic had an article about this today. I didn't just pull those out of the thin air. That was thank you, Seth Emerson. But they return a lot on defense, and if you are of the opinion that you get better as you age, then you're going to really like to watch some of these kids. In
Yeah.
particular, I have 3 kids that I am super excited about seeing. Nakobe
Quick,
Dean,
quick
Lewis.
pause. We're so old now because we do say kid. I say kid too, but sorry, continue. And
We
I
are
did.
old.
I turned 40 this year, so I'm a man. I'm 40, so I can say kid. All right, sorry, continue.
I'm not a man yet. I'm 39.
Sorry, I ruined your train of thought. Keep going with that.
No. Nakobe Dean, Lewis Siney,
Yeah,
and Eric Stokes. Those are 3 key players for me on defense because I believe that Stokes is going to be another one of those D-Bake type players.
yeah,
And Nakobe Dean has. I mean, I think I saw a quote the other day from Monty Rice talking about how he considers himself a really smart football player, and Lord knows the kid is very highly regarded and probably going to be playing on Sundays at some point. And he likened Nakobe Dean to a whole other level.
yeah.
So
I
that's
think
high praise from someone
he's
within the
he.
program.
I think he said he's an engineer, right? Didn't he say that about Kobe Dean? I think that's what he said.
I didn't see that, but um, he apparently is a player to watch from a leadership standpoint as well as just an ability standpoint. And if that continues throughout the season, then we're in for a fun defensive ride. I'm thinking, in my mind, I look back into when I was in college, and you and I, obviously, we were in school at the same time. We both graduated from Georgia, so um, I look back to those Van Gorder years. In fact,
Mm.
when Rick was really kind of at his peak was when he had a good, solid defense. And I remember watching those games with Van Gorder, and man, the defense played lights out, and that's kind of what it feels like right now.
Yeah, that was back when you score over 20 points, you're gonna win, right? Which is kind of what was missing late in the Rick
Right.
era when the Bobo offenses really got kicked in. It's too bad we didn't have the Bobo offense, like the Aaron Murray Bobo offense, right back then. Like if we
Yeah.
could have had all those things kind of mesh at the same time, it's kind of I would guess was kind of the curse of that era.
We're probably not going to talk about it too much here, but I am a little worried about Bobo in South Carolina in the long term. Maybe not this year, but in the long term, that's going to be a problem.
So okay, and so we could talk about that because honestly, I mean, we're talking big stories, and I kind of didn't even mention. I mean, I mentioned Munkin's name, but we didn't even mention the Coley to Munkin transition. I think one of my biggest tweets I got within the last year, I made a joke one day. I said, breaking. According to sources, Mike Bobo is on a plane on his way to Athens to sign as the Georgia's offensive coordinator. And I said the source is my hopes and dreams. And I got a lot of flack, like, "Oh, you got me all excited." I mean, I was 100% Team Bobo. Like when it leaked that Bobo wasn't wasn't going to be back in Colorado State, I just knew he was coming here. He and Kirby were big friends. I mean, they're really close. They're good friends, and ultimately, if I had to guess, I would say maybe that's why he didn't come here. That they're two good of friends, and maybe didn't think it would be the best idea to work together. See Mark Richt to Willie Martinez. Yeah, that's kind of my guess. But I was still
Hmm.
felt like they could make that work. I was a huge Bobo fan when he was here. I never understood the Bobo hate. So I agree. I agree that my question is like overall with the team, can they be good enough for Muschamp to keep his job, right? So that Bobo can stay there. I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that Bobo probably bought him a couple of years um, additional. And I imagine if they don't see marked improvement in the next, say, 2 to 3 years, I imagine they're all out.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's about right. I've got some neighbor friends that are big. They're Gamecocks. The dad went there, and they're excited about Bobo. I'll definitely say that. So I
I
think
was
that's about
sitting here
right.
thinking, like, who the hell has South Carolina fans? But I forget that you're in North Carolina.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, listeners, I am in Charlotte, or I live in. Saying I'm in Charlotte would be like you saying you're Atlanta, and you did say Marietta.
Yeah,
So
I
I do live
did.
in. I'm in Concord, North Carolina. for the NASCAR fans out there, I live right down the street from the Charlotte Motor Speedway, so I'm right in that area. So yeah, so
And Hendrick Automotive Sports.
I am right down the street from Hendrick as well, and know a lot of NASCAR guys. Actually, have a friend that works with Hendrick. So
Yeah.
So I guess with that a little bit there with the offense. So I know like between our discussions in the past, it's no secret. My thoughts, I think both of our thoughts on the offense last year and with Coley, but I wasn't even a huge Cheney fan. Like full disclosure, I just felt like he, I don't know. I didn't like the play calling. I thought it was pretty vanilla,
This
and
would
I
be
felt like we out
this
talented
would
people, right?
this would be the part where I quote you from the time period of Cheney. Cheney just got quote unquote too cute. I don't know how many times I got that text message from you.
I mean, when you've got Nick Chubb and Sony Michelle, I mean, to quote Wes
On the
Blankenship,
goal
just
line.
let that turkey work. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Shout out Wes Blankenship. But I mean, right? Like, so I do feel like I'd love to see, and I'm not even like I hate man ball. Oh, like you just said, right? I'd love to run the ball. I honestly think the whole man ball thing is a bit of a misnomer. Misnomer. Like personally, how can it be man ball without a fullback? I don't know. Whatever. Again, I'm 40. Get off my lawn. But that's kind of how I feel. To me, I'm like,
we're the early 2000s brand of Georgia fan.
well, yeah. Look, is JT
Brennan,
Wall is not walking through
where's
that.
Brennan Sutherland?
Brandon Sutherland, JT Wall are not walking through that door. So I'd take Quavon Hicks with his awesome face mask. I'd be all for that as well.
You mean Storm Shadow?
Yeah, he had that. I remember Aaron Murray had a like a T-shirt that was like "Keep Calm and Quavon" or something like that back then. It was good.
Keep
times.
calm, Quavon. Yeah.
So yeah, so
right.
I'm excited to see how the offense morphs under Monken. I mean, again, like I get it. I just think that the marriage with Monken and then the dual threat ability of Mathis, assuming he's the guy, I'm excited to see that. So
yeah, no, I agree. I mean, everything that I've read about Monken, you look at his time periods in the past, and he's just known for prolific offenses, and you kind of look to Kirby Smart to he made a quick decision on Coley, and so that was always the slight on Richt was that it took him forever to make decisions on things pertaining to the offense with his friend or with the defense. I mean, excuse me, with Willie Martinez with his friends, and then obviously he had kind of fostered Coley for quite some time. Promoted him up through the ranks. Obviously, the guy has a lot of talent, but for whatever reason, just wasn't getting it done. And Kirby made a quick decision on it, and that should be commended. And I think that he basically went out and got one of the better offensive minds out there from what I've seen. I can't say without any authority that this guy is offensive guru. Of course, everybody says that Dan Mullen was an offensive guru, and he hasn't beaten Kirby Smart yet. So you know what I mean. So it's like
right, but he has been picked to win the SEC East this year by the media.
Apparently, there are some people that also like to imbibe in the libations.
Yeah. So I think that's a good segue to kind of a bit of a macro season thing. Like I don't want to go game by game or anything, but I did want to talk about a couple of odd things for me personally with the schedule. So obviously the schedule's out of whack with coronavirus and the 10 games all conference, which I actually think is pretty cool, really. I think that's it's going to be hard to get rid of that now that it's here, but we'll see. But to me, the weirdest thing is Auburn game 2, right? And like that was already there essentially anyway, that they were much earlier in the season, right? Playing Auburn in October instead of the last conference game. That is like so weird to me, and I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it. It's just such a, and I'm channeling Jeff Dantzler here, like so many times the SEC championship over the years. Before there was an SEC championship game, so many years the championship rode on that Georgia Auburn game right there at the end of the season. There were so many times that Auburn dashed Georgia's hopes and dreams, and vice versa, right? And so having that game so early is just weird. I don't know. Am I alone there? Do I need to just like chill?
I don't know. I know you can see. I know they can't see my face while we're talking, but I know you can. So, all right. So here's my thought. So, in my opinion, the key to the railroad to the SEC championship starts at South Carolina. Statistically speaking, we win that game, we're basically in the driver's seat for the East.
Right. But now that
Florida
game's at
has
the end of the season, right?
It's true.
So it's weird. The order of operations is all out of whack.
The order of operations is definitely weird, but so historically that's been the misnomer. So that's been the key to the season or whatever. Historically speaking, we lose that game, we're 9 out of 10 times probably not making the SEC championship.
2012 was the exception, right? That was weird. That was a weird year.
The exception for a lot of things.
Yeah.
All right. So, So Auburn, I'll be honest, I haven't worried a whole lot about Auburn. Maybe that's because I have a lot of Auburn friends being here in Marietta, where there's a lot of Auburn folks that are doom and gloom, and they've basically written the season off. I have a lot of Auburn friends that are not very confident. Some of them played in college. Some of the guys that I knew played at D2 level, like Troy and things like that. But they're not very confident in Nick's in his abilities. I also know that many of them are not fans of the head coach. So I do think that Auburn is probably going to be. I don't know. I'm not too worried about Auburn. If I'm worried about any game, if you were asking me to put I know on our notes here we have the the schedule position season schedule preview season record, but in my opinion the Alabama game is the hump that we have to get over. So
absolutely.
I mean,
I guess for me, I guess my Auburn thing is just rooted in I can't get over that it's the timing. It's not even so much that I'm worried about him. It's just weird. I will say this though.
Got it.
Going back to like when we were in school, right? So for those who don't know, I graduated in 02. You were 03, 04? I know you're right after me.
I was 04.
Okay. So, so back then, it always felt like South Carolina was like the second game of the year, right? And we actually used to lose to them when we were back.
Always
when we were
my
in
birthday,
school, right?
typically, by the way.
And it was like they were always sky high at the beginning of the season, full of belief in themselves, and they beat us, and then they'd like collapse and be like 6-6, right? Whereas Auburn's like the opposite, like they're losing these season opening games, they have some really weird, but then they always would get it together, right, and play their best games at the end against Georgia and Alabama. So like in that sense,
right.
If that maybe it plays to our advantage, right? So maybe we get Auburn before they figured things out. And by the time we catch South Carolina, they've already collapsed. I don't know. So it could work out that way. It's just weird.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, if you were asking me to put a number on the season for this season, I do think that there's at least one loss on the schedule. I mean, we're playing 10 SEC games.
Yeah.
Which kudos to Sankey on waiting things out and not being herky jerky on the season and what that was going to look like. So
he handled it really well.
Yeah. Yes, he did. In my opinion, he did. Your mileage may vary, but I do think that this is basically the season of all SEC fans' dreams. It's all SEC. It's us against the world. Screw everyone else.
Well, you can't. I was ready for us to just play on our own because you can't spell secede without SEC. So I don't know. So all right. So let me set. I mean, I feel like, and I haven't looked this up like in Vegas, but I mean the over under win total for Georgia, I would assume is 8.5. if I was
Eight
setting
and
the
a
line,
half.
I would set it at 8.5 because I feel like there's.
That feels
Well,
low.
we only got 10 games, so you're gonna set. It's I mean 9.5 over under. You said you'd set it 9.5 because the question is, are you going to lose one
My
or
my
none?
my my estimation is 1. Yeah, that would be my.
And I'm
That's where
assuming
my
the
money is.
one. So basically, if you look at the schedule, Alabama obviously jumps off. But if we beat Alabama, still probably going to trip up somewhere else. I don't see anyone going undefeated in a 10-game SEC only schedule. Personally, I don't
Certainly
think
not
anyone,
Florida.
East or West. I know. I agree with you. I'm with you. So okay,
Yeah,
but
I'm gonna look it up while we're
I'm
talking.
looking
I'm
at
gonna
the
look
over
at.
though. I do think. I mean, to me, like 9-1 sounds right. 8-2, I wouldn't be shocked. But if it's 7-3 or worse, something went wrong. And who knows what
If
that could be? We
it's
could have had Dwan Mathis is out with coronavirus or whatever. Like like this year could get wacky. We don't know.
you
You
know
know.
with so you say that, and I think that part of the motivation behind waiting to make decisions and things like that, and pushing the start of the season out for the SEC was some of that. It was to kind of see what was going on. Now,
True.
what you do see happening right now, and we're going to get off topic of college football and a little bit more bigger picture, but as I follow the EPL. I'm a big Manchester United fan, and you start seeing some of these European teams, and even in Mexico, the Mexican league. There's a lot of they've been playing for a while now to no fans, and the teams have been impacted by coronavirus because you have players that contract the virus, and then all of a sudden they're canceling games. I mean, we've seen a little bit of that with college football already, and
Yeah.
some of the delays. So yeah, you do wonder if something like that happens. That's always something looming out there. But
Right.
I do think that, fortunately for a team like Georgia, I would expect that they have protocols in place to protect their players, because I believe that Kirby Smart is not a stupid man.
Yeah, no, he's not. I mean, and that's the thing. Like you hear so many people say, if he wasn't coaching football, he'd probably be a pretty successful businessman. Yeah, he just comes across as, and like a guy that he could be sitting here talking to us. I mean, he's roughly our age. He was a senior when I was a freshman. He was a fifth-year senior, but hey, I redshirted too. I took my victory lap. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that sounds right. So I think we're both picking Georgia out of the East. Fair to say, right? And we're
Yep,
thinking most likely
100%.
9-1. So what about the West? Who do you got out of the West?
I mean, you got to go with Bama. I mean,
Yeah,
although it depends. It depends on how that. If Georgia comes away with a win in there, um, I mean, I
yeah,
still think that Bama probably overcomes any adversity from a loss to Georgia, if that were to happen. Which, fingers crossed, Kirby can get
right.
over that hurdle.
Yep.
Because the longer that hump sits, the more it feels like a rift in the Florida situation.
Well, the last
It's
time we
like,
beat them was in Alabama, right? The last time we beat them was on their. Am I getting that right? Or
was that with Shula?
so it no? Well, Saban, 2007.
2000. Oh,
The
07. Okay.
Stafford to Mikey Henderson in overtime that game,
Ah, yes,
which I believe was
yes.
also the first game that was not called by Larry Munson. That where Scott Howard called that game. He had that was his first kind of signature call. He one and done, baby, was his call with Mikey Henderson catching that.
See, you're way more astute than I am on the UGA history.
Well, my dog's named Munson. I gotta keep up with this stuff.
You got
So yeah, no,
Munson, and I have Champ Bailey. So
there we go. Nice. Nice. I have Munson and Murray, so another Aaron Murray shout out. So my wife let me name both of the dogs after Georgia people. So all right, so you're going to Bama. I'm going to go Bama as well. I mean, I think like you would tend to lean maybe LSU, but the turnover from LSU is just insane, and I think we've seen in the NFL already how good Joe Burrow is. If we had any questions, I mean, the guys looked pretty good. Don't have like the win results there, but I don't think it's so much his fault. He's so good. He's gone all the guys that left for the NFL, they weren't coming back anyways. But then add into that the opt outs that they've had for the kind of like the true juniors coming up, right? Who couldn't leave last year but are surefire first round picks. They've had somebody of them opt out. I just don't. I don't see them being able to overcome that. And then let's not forget, Joe Brady was like the mastermind. Everyone seems to think,
Yeah.
right, with the passing game coordinator. And he's with the Panthers now, so I don't know. That's a lot to overcome. So we'll see.
It is, and I think that's something that a lot of folks are going to discount for a number of reasons. But I don't know. I feel like that if I were a betting man, I would say that Orgeron is probably the Gene Chizik right now of for LSU. So
Interesting.
that's always been my kind of take on him. I know that he's had a lot of success with that miracle season that he had, and frankly, Chizik had the same thing. He had a miracle season with Cam Newton and took home a title and got canned not too long after.
Right. I don't know, man. I don't know that Coach O wouldn't be happy with you. Coach O not gonna like that. Coach O gonna take a damn Tigers.
I don't know that I can understand any of the expletives that he would throw at me.
Go Tigers. That's what he'd have to say about that. All right. So I think that's probably that's. Oh man. Oh, that's a throwback. That was an amazing video.
Yeah, that was a throwback.
Hope everyone gets that reference.
If you don't know that reference, you need to go and Google it.
Colonel Reb is crying.
Colonel Reb is crying.
It's a classic. Which always reminds me, whenever I see that, it reminds me that Brent Schaefer ended up at Ole Miss. Tend to forget about that one.
Brent Schaefer.
All right, let's. You want to switch to the game at hand, to Arkansas?
Let's do it.
The correct answer was yes, sir. So to me, like, that's the first thing, right? I mean, holy cow, Sam Pittman is their head coach. Like, everyone loved him. Everyone here loved the yes sir videos. Certainly loved his recruiting prowess and all the linemen that he brought to Georgia. So we will thank him for that. But it's all business on Saturday.
Yep, I will riff off of Chapel Bell Curve and kind of their take on Pittman. I by and large have had nothing but positive thoughts and feelings about Pittman ever since he came to Georgia. So, when they're not playing Georgia, I'm rooting for them. So, anyway, I do think that the Dogs will handedly beat them in this particular matchup.
My question, the thing that I keep thinking about with Chaney, right? I mean, he has been at Arkansas before. We basically, Kirby pulled him away from Arkansas, and they weren't happy with that. When he came to Georgia, when Kirby was hired, so he's kind of he's coming home. First game, a lot of familiarity with Georgia for him. I feel like I'm expecting him to try to have something up his sleeve, trick play, something. I don't know if it's a fake punt. If he wants to do a Justin Fields style fake punt, that would be awesome. But
let's hope that it's a goal line pass.
Oh gosh! Right.
Let's hope
Seriously.
that it's a 4 in a row goal line pass.
To lose
the game.
But I just feel like I'm not going to be surprised if he surprises us, right, with something like that. I think just a motivation kind of thing, try to get his guys fired up. So I'm looking for something like that in the game. I don't know.
So here's my response on that, and I don't disagree. I do think that they're going to put up points. I don't know if we're going to do score predictions or not, but I'll go ahead and throw one out there. I believe that they'll probably score 21-ish points on us.
You think they're going to? That's a lot.
I mean, if I'm being conservative, I mean, you got to factor in there's a lot that's going on. They'll be able to move quickly. I don't know exactly how well the offense is going to be able to move.
They do have Felipe Franks under center, though. Let's remember that.
Oh, that's true. So you're saying that that's a point in the opposite direction, I believe, is what you're
Right.
going for there.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have visions of 2017 JRE doing the Eat Greedy celebration. That's all I can think of when I think about Philly Bay Franks.
What is it? What is it? The actually now that we're talking about this a little bit more intuitively. So, what's the amount of points that have ever been scored by Mullen on Kirby Smart? Isn't it something like 17 points that he was able to put up? So if Mullen, the offensive guru, can't put up that many points, perhaps I
With
should
Felipe
dial back
Franks.
perhaps I should dial
Right.
back my estimation there. Maybe 17 is probably about right.
Well, let's see. I'm looking through like our recent games with them. Now, different staff, obviously, on both sides, and no play. I mean, so the last time we played them was 2014 in Little Rock, and I believe that was the "Can't Hit Your Wheels to Nick Chubb" game. Am I getting that right with Desmond Howard?
Mm-hmm.
I think right because that was right after Gurley was suspended. But so
Right.
2014, they put up 32 on us, but that was again 14 was a bit of an odd year. Let's see, they beat us in Athens in 2010, but that was Petrino. And then in 09, man, they put up 41 points on us. That was the last time we played at Fayetteville. Because in 14 was in Little Rock. We are in Fayetteville this weekend. So yeah, I mean they've definitely put up points on us historically. But I'm just thinking with
The
all the
defense.
defensive stats you were rattling off, right? Players coming back. I think 21's a bit high, but I mean, I I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a shutout. I'm not going to say anything like that. And
No.
but I do think it's going to be tough to cover. I think the spread's like 26.5. That is a lot. So I don't know that I see us covering there unless Franks has a bunch of turnovers, which
Just
could
just
happen,
throws
right?
throws to the team in the actual red.
Right. Well, oh, gosh, how did we not talk about this? The team in the red pants. The team in the red
The team
pants.
in the red pants.
Which I gotta say, I love. I'm a big lover of uniform talk, and I've been a proponent of red pants for years. To the folks who say they are traditionalists and Georgia wears silver breeches. I request that you watch the footage of Herschel Walker running over Bill Bates, and I make the statement: red pants, good enough for Herschel, good enough for me. So that's my stance on the red pants. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that that's a fair take. It's I think that one of the great quirks of college football is the traditions that we have in place, and doing throwbacks and things like that that harken back to the times of yore. Although I will have to say that I have one issue with the new uniforms, and that is the 40-year anniversary. There's just something that doesn't sit right with me on celebrating a 40-year gap of championships.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that to me is like I saw one of my Tennessee fans post a meme about it. Something like, imagine celebrating a 40-year drought of national championships, and I just cringed. I just cringed at it. And I said,
uh,
someone approved that. As a
I had
marketer, someone approved it.
right. Honestly, I hadn't even really thought of it that way. I thought you were going to say you didn't like the dog collar, which I will say that wasn't.
I
That
like the
was
dog collar.
so. That was my nitpick. But I'll give a wait and since last Saturday shout out. Scott had his all uniform talk episode, which I tweeted to him back and said I felt like that episode was made for me. That was amazing. I loved every minute of that episode. But he had Hunt the Jones, who does a lot of edits. And I actually I tried some edits over the summer, and he was kind enough to help me out and give me some pointers and feedback on doing some of that stuff. But anyways, um, you know, I'm pretty sure it was Hunter because Chance Dog was also on that episode as well. But I think this was Hunter said that you know what, dogs wear dog collars, and we're the Bulldogs. What does a bulldog wear? A dog collar. So, and I was like, you know what?
What does Ugga wear? particularly in the olden days.
Right. And then I think the other thing they talked about was like, the way you're not going to see that really on TV, right? Like you're seeing from up high. It's something that you're only like we're seeing it on the videos and stuff, but it's not going to really
No,
show on TV. So
what you're
so
gonna
I thought
see
that was
on
cool.
TV, what you're gonna see on TV is the night game that they decide to bust that out, and you're going to see the lights going crazy and absolute pandemonium like they
Well,
did with the Auburn game. But I recognize that there's not going to be as many fans, but you know,
yeah.
in my
Well,
heart, I will be going crazy at that
in
moment.
game 2, Auburn is a 7:30 p.m. ESPN kickoff. I mean, that would be pretty perfect. I don't know if Kirby will do it or not. I kind of hope he pulls a surprise because we were robbed of the Virginia surprise. The red pants, white jerseys was supposed to be a surprise reveal in the Chick-fil-A
I didn't
kickoff.
know that.
Yeah, that
Okay.
I think Chip Towers reported that apparently that
Huh.
was the plan. They were going to come out, they were going to warm up in the regular white and silver breeches to change and come out with a surprise. That would have been awesome. So maybe we'll get that for Robin. I don't know. We'll see.
Okay. Kirby doing some some uniform strategery like Rick did. I know
Right.
that there's a swath of Georgia fans who are just like cringing at that.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I am not the uniform police. I'm all for it. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, I kind of took us off the rails there, but you reminded me of that. All right. So let me hit you with some questions. So who for just some Georgia? I've got offensive predictions. I guess we could throw in some defensive ones as well. But so who's going to be Georgia's leading passer on Saturday? Is it going to be Dwan Mathis or is it going to be someone else?
Absolutely, Dwan Mathis,
All right.
100%.
All right.
I imagine he'll throw for over 150 yards. It's just a
Yep.
ballpark.
Yep. That sounds right. All right. Rusher. You got Zamir White. You got another idea.
I'm going James Cook only because
Nice.
I'm liking the notes that I've seen coming out of practices about how Monken is going to be using him. Now, I guess I should caveat that with, I do think that he will have an impact on the rushing game, but I also believe that he'll have an equally, if not bigger, impact on the passing game based on what I've seen coming out of the notes there. Now,
Yeah.
that could be, it wouldn't shock me at all to see Zamir White have the lion's share of carries and the lion's share of the yards, but I do think that James Cook is going to have a major impact on the game.
Yeah, I'd love to see him break off a long one. I think we've been kind of waiting for that.
No one deserves it more.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we saw a glimpse of it. I think he had that one when his freshman year. I think he had like a long touchdown that got called back, if I remember right. I think against Vanderbilt. Love to see him break one. That would be awesome. All right,
if we were looking at players outside of Mathis to have breakout performances, injuries aside for Zamir White, but in my opinion, James Cook has been one of the most egregiously underutilized assets that we had last year.
Oh yeah, and I think Jim Donnan would agree with you. I don't know if you ever listened to the UGA Sports stuff with Roddy and Donnan. Donnan has been he's a big supporter of James Cook. I know he thinks really highly of him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's talk receiver, and I think we should probably throw Pickens out unless you think someone's going to have more yards than him. The only way that happens is like I don't know, he sits or something. But so maybe who's going to come in next behind Pickens as far as receiving?
Was it Landers that was getting a lot of hype there in the last reporting notes that I saw?
He has been. Yep.
Yeah, Landers. Landers, I feel like was his really.
Yeah. Saying that you were thinking maybe it was Landers. I would enter D-Rob.
Yeah, no,
and I want it to be D-Rob. I want to see him look like he looked like when he was a freshman at Cal. I'm still waiting on it, and I want to see it. I would love to see it.
Yeah, you talk about the storylines about redemption and things like that. Like you got Dwan Mathis with that storyline. You've got James Cook with being underutilized last year and kind of being a bit role player, if we're being honest. And then you've got D-Rob, who is the redemption story at wide receiver. So if all of if the universe aligns and all of those players have measurable success, then you like Georgia's chances to run up the score.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say I think probably someone to look out for. Keep hearing is the freshman Burton. He's been getting a lot of buzz in camp. It can be tough for a freshman receiver to put it all together.
Yeah, as we've seen.
We've seen that at Georgia. Although maybe he can pull a D-Rob at Cal kind of thing. We'll see.
That's true.
But I mean, even with Pickens, as good as he was last year, it took him a while to get going.
Yeah, I read something earlier today that is actually like Trey McKitty is injured and he will not be playing in this game at tight ends.
Yeah, he's not as of right. Meow, he's out of the game.
Right.
That's what I heard as well.
Which puts us with a bit of a conundrum at tight end, in my opinion.
Oh gosh, I'm blanking. Is the freshman? He's like wearing number 0, right? Washington. Is he going to play?
I assume.
Is he in?
I assume he will play, but you got John Fitzpatrick, the 6'7" monster from right down the road, I believe, Kennesaw Mountain.
Okay. Kennesaw Mountain was always a great field trip in elementary school. Yeah. Okay. So maybe Landers. I'm gonna go D-Rob. For a leading receiver behind Pickens. What about let's talk a little defense. I mean, talk some Havoc. We'll see if the Havoc comes through this year. There was a big talk last year. I don't really know, but I mean, you see, although the thing that I keep coming back to with this, I was thinking like sacks. I don't even know if over under or whatever, but just like, are we going to see that kind of stuff? We're going to see sacks. We're going to see turnovers. We're going to see picks. And I think knowing that Felipe Franks is their starting quarterback, kind of, more than anything else, leads me to say probably that we'll probably see some turnovers.
You'd probably see some, but I don't know. I think that I don't know. Havoc is what I like to talk to the CBC guys about a lot. Was how much havoc we're creating, but as we've seen in the past, havoc is not necessarily a key indicator for success for this team. You like to see Rochester. We're talking about redemption. You like to see those guys come up and come.
Yeah.
You got Jordan Davis at nose tackle, right?
Yep.
Those are two players that I feel like that should be coming on. We got
senior year from Malik Herring, senior year Richard LeCount.
Right. Well, yeah. I expect to see LeCount on the stat line in the turnover department, especially when he's matched up with Stokes out there at corner. So I don't know. Trayvon Walker. You look at guys like Trayvon. Yeah, LeCount. I believe will have a major impact in the passing games for the opposing offenses this year for sure. Especially as you look with Stokes on the field, they're going to be trying to cut things off. So I feel like the two of them combined are going to be a force to be reckoned with in our secondary for sure. And frankly, on the season, I'll tell you who I'm most excited to see would be Jalen Carter.
Yeah.
Assuming he gets an opportunity to come in. I mean, we rotated guys in and out across the board all season long last year, so you kind of figure that at some point, especially, I mean, in my opinion, I feel like all of the guys that are coming in that were heralded are going to see playing time just based on the sheer fact that this is a freebie season for all players.
Right.
So I expect that there will be some rejiggering of the strategy as it would normally be with some of these younger guys, because it is a toss-up in terms of their ability to just go out without any eligibility concerns.
Yeah, we don't need to worry about the 4-game thing this year.
Mhm.
Everyone can play. And hey, Rochester could be back for year 6 next year. I mean,
That's
it's
true.
open. The door's open for that. I would say with LeCount, if he gets a pick in this game, there's no way his celebration will be as good as his just run to the sideline, jump over the bench against Baylor in the Sugar Bowl. That was like the greatest celebration I've ever seen. I love that. So I don't think he can top that.
Right.
All right. I mean, I don't know. I think we've pretty much covered it. So we've got. I don't know. Let's go for an actual score. What you want to go? Let's go back to a score.
Yeah, we were. I was really struggling with that one, didn't I? 21 sounded really large in retrospect. So 17. I just don't feel like that. First game back, offensive coordinator. I feel like there's going to be some kinks. It's an SEC game. It's on the road. Historically they put up points at home. So I don't know. 17 feels pretty safe. And then Georgia, I feel like if we can get above 30 and hold them under 20, we probably will win the game, obviously. But
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I think the target.
I'm looking at the line.
Is to
The
keep
line
them under 30. If I remember correctly, with Chaney, with Chaney, we had to score 30 to win.
Right. True. I'll say I just looked. The line has actually gone up. It's Georgia by 27.5 right now. That's a lot of points. Yeah, so I'm not feeling a cover, but I'm feeling a comfortable win. Yeah, I think Georgia scores in the 30s as well. I'll go. I'm gonna go something weird like 37-11.
This is what is it? The scoregami that Booker likes to talk about.
Yeah.
What's the scoregami for this game?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I think Scott Duvall likes to reference that. He may have gotten that from Logan Booker. Awesome. Yeah, I'll go with that. I don't know if that's a scoregami or not, but I'll go with that one.
Yeah. One other thing that I wanted to talk about, or a couple other things.
Yeah, man, hit it.
What's your go-to for the tailgate this weekend? Because I know you're going to be tailgating with that beautiful setup that you have in the backyard at some point.
So, all right. So you talked a little football, other side of the pond earlier. So I'll bring that up as well. So my daughter has a soccer game at 3:00 on Saturday. So I'm going to be hightailing at home, probably listening to Scott Howard through the tune-in app in the car on the way home from soccer, and then I'll pick up the game the Georgia game when I get home from my daughter's soccer game, most likely. So, but for the viewing setup, most likely yes. I've got the question is, will I do the multi TV setup? So I cut the cord a few years ago. I've got an antenna. I've got my antenna set up to my my deck out back. I've got a TV mounted out on my deck, and then I've got an extra coax cable coming off my antenna. So I run that out there and grab some smaller TVs and do the multi-TV setup. So most likely, yes. With us at 4, I'll probably do that so I can catch the 3:30 game on CBS through my antenna at the same time, get a little dual screen set up. So yeah, how about you?
Under normal circumstances, I would probably be doing some ribs. However, this Saturday, my family and I will be loading our entire family into. I have 4 kids. We'll be loading our family into the car to run up to Hilton Head this weekend. So,
Nice.
Our kids' schools are in fall break, if you can believe it or not. It feels like it really snuck up on us. So, we're going to the Hilton Head for the beach, and so we'll basically, if timing is perfect with us leaving, we'll basically be getting in around 4:00, and I'll basically be running to a television at that point.
Nice.
But we do have some lovely bourbon here from the state of Georgia that I'll be partaking in, as I'm partaking right now, and I've got a new game day jersey, game day polo that I'm excited about busting out. So we'll make a day of it in Hilton Head.
It does remind me. The one thing I left out is I do plan to smoke a butt so I can eat some pork as we beat the hogs on Saturday.
That's
So
what I was. That's what I
that's
was
also in the plan.
expecting, Mister
That is in the
Greenbag
plan.
DIY.
So the wrench there is the soccer game. So I'm gonna have to do it like overnight, Friday night, most likely. I'm thinking just because I don't want to leave the house with the big green egg going. So and I've never done an overnight cook. I usually wake up early in the morning. So, but I think I'm planning to do the overnight cook. I've got the Bluetooth temperature sensors, so it'll hopefully wake me up if it gets out of whack.
Do those things usually keep their heat for quite some time?
They do. The concern is that just keeping it like level, right? So it's not. I'm not worried about it getting not enough heat. I'm worried about getting too hot, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's the good thing about a butt. Boston butt, a lot easier to deal with temperature flux than say, I don't know, doing any kind of beef.
But yeah, so I'll probably be hopefully come Sunday morning we'll be celebrating a dog victory at the Salty Dog Cafe.
Oh, that would be nice. I would tell you you're not too far away from Fripp. You could hit up Fripp Dog, but he's not there right now. That's my dad for those not in the know. He's not at Fripp. He's back in Nicholson.
I was wondering how far away that would be from your pops, but yeah.
As the crow flies, it's not too far, but or you could take a boat. But to take the roads, it's kind of a ways.
We'll definitely be enjoying the beaches, and I'm looking forward to being up there with the clan and home opener, or sorry, the season opener, on the beach. So anyway, that's what we'll be doing.
Nice. Yeah, looking forward to it. Is Champ coming with you? Champ's staying at home.
Champ will be at the trainer in Waleska.
Okay.
The doggy dorm up in Waleska. Not a sponsor yet.
Nice. Awesome. What else you got?
This was a good first run. Obviously, some technical difficulties for those following along. I'm sure you'll see, but
I'll edit all of that out.
You'll edit it all out.
It'll be magical.
No swear words.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I didn't have to write any times down. Won't have to add the explicit label. Should be good to go there. Kids can listen. Family friendly.
We'll have to have a sign that says it's been 0 podcasts since we had a swear word for Nathan, Nathan and Justin.
There you go. Nice. Too good. All right, man. Well, it was great talking to you. We'll do this again. We'll get a schedule set up, and we'll get the word out on Twitter for when the next episode's coming out. But let's look forward to the dogs beating the hogs on Saturday.
Absolutely. Go Dogs.
All right, man. Go Dogs.
We hand it off to Herschel. There's a hole. 5, 10, 12. He's running over people. Oh, you Herschel Walker. My God almighty, he ran right through 2 men. Herschel ran right over 2 men. They had him dead away inside the 9. Herschel Walker went 16 yards. He drove right over Orange Church, just driving and running with those big tires. My God, a freshman.
Yeah, I'm along for the ride with you on this. This is a nice little escape for me where I'm not playing video games and I'm just talking with you and shooting the shit and doing whatever the hell else we're gonna do here.
Oh, you just did it. 0 episodes since the curse word.
I thought we were over. I thought we were done.
Oh yeah. I'll edit all that out. The people won't hear that part.